You know what? Gotta love it when you get a cold and your nose is congested, and then your cold finally heals, right? Like you recover from the cold, and you think like, oh wow, this is great, you know, my nose cleared up. I can finally do a true crime stream without my nose getting like completely congested as I talk, and my nose goes just like, oh no, 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 no. You thought I was gone. Oh no. The mucus just goes, no, 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 that's not how it works. So yeah, hi, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, I'm FEARSONA, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills, here with another true crime case that's gonna shock you, that's gonna keep you up at night. And yeah, here with another stream full of scuff, because that is an integral part of my stream. Doesn't matter how I organize my stuff, my triggers, my stream deck, it doesn't matter. Stream deck just goes, no scuff, no, no, no. Fabian, thank you so much for being here. Hey, welcome back. Why are you in a marshmallow room? You know, it's because we're talking about cray stuff today. We're talking about someone who definitely had some issues and should potentially, well, should definitely be placed in one of those rooms, and she did get placed in one of those rooms. We're gonna be talking about it a little bit more today. And DJ Kalar, thank you so much for being here. Hi, welcome. Hey, Sona, good timing. I literally just finished listening to an hour-long up-tempo hardcore mix. Oh my god, you pumped up. Jesus. Okay, so I'm glad to finally catch a stream of yours. Well, I'm glad that you could catch my stream. Welcome to the stream. And yeah, I guess you set the mood. Is this, wait, should we be listening to true crime cases and to like some, you know, like hyped, kind of pumped up music, like sure, why not? I mean, this one actually, this case might actually match it, you know. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I did cover another case on Patreon yesterday. It was an unsolved case from Japan, and we did have some moments of rage in the chat, because like towards the end of the case, it was just so man, you know what? It's one of those cases where I think I a lot of those cases I cover on Patreon end up being of me and my chat just raging because the investigation just went so badly, or, you know, investigators like mishandled it, because of course they did, or like police mishandled it because of course they did. Evidence was lost or not examined properly, and then it was like 30 years later and they're like, what evidence? Wait a minute, we had evidence? What? Yeah, it's just like, it was one of those. A human skull. Also, I got a skull. Hold up. Wait, Fabian, wait, what skull? Wait, what are we talking about? Should I be concerned? Also, I got a skull. Don't worry, it's not mine. Whose is it? Wait, the question is, whoa. Whoa. The question is, whose is it? Is it a human skull? Why? 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 Okay, it's fake. Oh, okay. I mean, okay, I'll trust you. I'll trust you on this one. Out of context chat be like, yeah, exactly that. Okay, guys. So today we have, this is the last, well, I mean, this is the last stream of the week, I guess. Yeah, it is. It is, because I get confused because I have a collab tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be streaming it on my channel, but I think I will. I think I'm gonna streaming. I'm gonna streaming. Yes. It's still better than what I said yesterday. What I said last night in Patreon stream. Like I said, what did I said? June 11th. I was going to say June 11th. But for some fucking reason, my brain was just like, scratch that. Let's reinvent the language. Let's reinvent some words. And I just said June 11th. And my brain was just like, oh yeah, that one. I was like, June 11th? No, nah, that's too mediocre. That's too mainstream. Let's come up with something new. Let's come up with something fresh. And then it was just June 11th. And the brain went, I approve. Yippee, exactly, yippee. Okay, so tomorrow I do have a collab on, well, I mean, I guess I'm gonna stream it on YouTube, but I have a collab with a couple of VTubers, and it's gonna be a repo collab. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but repo. But yeah, you know, I'll try to stream it here. This is gonna be my first time playing repo. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what this game is about. I'll try. Apparently, allegedly, it's like Lethal Company, so I'll just bank on the fact that my death is not gonna affect the rest of the team. Let's put it this way. I don't want to affect the outcome of the game, even though I'm probably gonna die and die again and just, you know, float as a ghost and just watch others play, because I'm just destined to die in a game. Yeah, repo. Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Let's go, exactly. Jade Gomez. Wait, Play VT. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but hi. Hello, thank you so much for being here in my stream. Welcome. Okay, guys, I think it's time. Today's case takes us deep into the twisted world of a young woman who didn't just admire killers. She aspired to become one. Online, she called herself Domina Cherry, Domina as in dominatrix, and Cherry as in sweet on the outside, but with a dark, dangerous core. On the night of May 1st, 2021, a sinister plan was already in motion. Somewhere in the quiet corners of Bavaria, not far from the city of Nuremberg, a 39-year-old man named Zaid was finishing up his shift as a security guard. By all accounts, it had been just a normal day, you know, nothing unusual. Earlier that day, he had struck up a conversation with a woman on a dating app, someone who called herself Domina Cherry. The name was, you know, he thought the name was provocative, almost theatrical, but you know what? It intrigued him enough to reach out to her, and at one point, he actually asked her, "Are you the devil's bride?" The reply from the woman came quickly, and she said, "Yes, the devil's bride herself." Yeah. This is great. This is already sounding awesome. This is sounding like an amazing date. But the exchange between them continued into, you know, flirtatious conversation, and soon they set up some plans. She invited him to meet her the following evening, and the suggestion was a secluded shed in the woods, a place she promised where they could be alone, uninterrupted. Hint, hint, wink, wink, wink. Zaid agreed without hesitation. A cabin in the woods? My boy is about to die. My boy is about to experience a horror movie scenario. How was that not a signal? I'll be like, I don't know. Let's meet. How about a coffee shop? How about let's get to, I know you guys. I know what you guys are gonna say. It's a, you know, dating app date, probably like Tinder or something, or Bumble or whatever it is. And they are not meeting up for coffee. Then let's just say that. They're not meeting up for coffee. Next horror movie, forest date. Yeah, like if someone, I don't know, like if you're going on a first date with someone and they suggest like, hey, how about this abandoned shed in the woods? We're gonna be alone. It's gonna be private. I'll be like, what about a cinema? What about a nice cozy coffee shop? We can sit in the back. We're gonna be uninterrupted too. Our conversation, stimulating conversation. Oh god. Yeah, that's bad. I don't get hints, okay? I have no chill. Also, Shy, hello, why is Sona in the crazy room? Because this case is crazy. That's why. Also, Kronos, member for 25 months. Holy shit, thank you so much for being here. 2 years. 2 years, you've been a great support, and you guys, let's celebrate Kronos, my moderator for 2 years. This is why I stay inside with my cat. Yeah, exactly. This is why we stay inside. This is why we don't go out, because the world is dangerous, people are dangerous, and apparently they just want to lure you out into the woods. Okay, so she promised they wouldn't be interrupted, hint hint, wink wink wink, you know, because that's not a coffee date, that's a cabin in the woods date. Okay, so at 7:30 she sent he sent her a message on WhatsApp, and he said, "I'm on my way." But what Zaid didn't know was that someone else had already been waiting for this moment for far longer than he had. Around the same time he texted, the woman in question on the other end of the line, she recorded a message and sent it to her friend. She recorded a voice message and she sent it to her friend. And she said this in the message: "I'm going out now. I want to kill my first one. I'm excited. Wish me luck that it works." Yeah. The friend was just like, what the fuck? But okay, well, I'm not gonna take it serious. Haha, nice joke, you know, haha, funny joke. It's like, what the heck? Also, IDK Bacon, thank you so much for the super. He says, "Those nice young men in their clean white coats are coming to take me away. Sona, probably, just before getting thrown in this room." Yeah. I'm like, oh, you guys are here to make friends? And they're like, sure we are. let's take it to another room. There's just a padded room. I'm like, okay. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so the woman actually waited for Zaid at a bus stop named something that I would argue may or may not be an ancient name for Satan. I'm sorry, German people. I know that Polish is horrible. It's not much better, but have mercy. Okay, let me try this. Unterleiter Friedhof. That's the station. Yeah, nailed it so much. Okay, so as the rain fell harder that night, so did her search history spiral into something very, very disturbing. So she was searching for where to put someone who is bleeding out, and what happens if you stab someone in the neck. I'm gonna tell you what happens. They take a nice, relaxing forever nap. That's what happens to someone who got stabbed in the neck. I assume. I don't know. Maybe I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor, but it seems like, you know, they would take a nap, a very long nap, like forever. Alrighty then. So, oh damn, yeah. So this is what she was searching for. These were some of her searches, right? Like, oh, what happens when if you stab someone in the neck, and like how to hide a body and stuff. A friend of hers, Francisca, responded to her earlier messages, you know, the voice message, brushing it off, you know, the alarming voice note with morbid curiosity. Her friend had made strange claims like this before, you know, dramatic outbursts that never seemed to lead anywhere. No one ever really believed her, including Francisca. Still, she actually replied to that message, and she asked her, "How do you plan on doing this without getting caught?" I'm sorry, this girl is real for this. Reasonable question, though she asked an unreasonable person. But it's the thought that counts. She tried, you know, Francisca tried. She tried to be like, hey, I mean, you know you're gonna get arrested. You know, this is not a good idea, right? But whatever. Then came the second voice note. So the friend sent this. Quote, "I'm going to tell him, I have a surprise for you. Close your eyes." Yeah. Yeah, this girl is cray. But sure, you know, like how do you react to that? Like, as the friend, how would you react to that? Because I would be like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? I don't want to say you're serious. Like, I don't want to even ask that question. So I kind of understand why Francisca didn't really ask her. Because if I saw my friend saying that, I would probably send something like, what the fuck? Yeah, I would, that's it. I would be like, what the fuck? And question mark. And then I would probably say something like, haha, nice joke. Like, this is a joke, right? I would just send the meme, it's a joke, right? Like, oh, ha ha ha, funny joke. It's a joke, right? But okay, ooh, a surprise, sure. A surprise, a Kinder surprise. Which is kind of fitting because it's Germany and that's where Kinder comes from. Okay, so at 8:20 p.m., Zaid pulled up to the bus stop, the Satan name bus stop. The woman stepped into his car. The pair drove into the night. 5 minutes later, she asked him to pull over. Not a good sign. What happened next would turn an already grim story into something far darker and more shocking. With no warning and no provocation, she turned to Zaid and attacked. A single savage motion, a camping knife driven deep into his neck. The blade struck his jugular. Zaid managed to force her off, stumbled out of the vehicle, and began to wander, bleeding toward the road, like to signal someone over, signal someone to pull over and to help him. And by some miracle, I don't know how that happened, but by some miracle, 2 cars happened to pass, and one of them was driven by a nurse. So obviously she saw this guy and she pulled over, and the other car also pulled over. Emergency services were called and Zaid was rushed to a hospital, but the damage had been done. Witnesses said his eyes were like filled with terror, like his face was pale, his eyes were filled with terror, with just fear. That's the only way they could describe the scene. What drove someone so young, because the woman it seemed like she was super young, so seemingly like normal, to commit something like this? Was it obsession? Was it fantasy? Or something even worse? Stay with me, because now we're gonna look at the killer's background and I'm gonna reveal who the killer is and what exactly drove this girl to this very point. So Sarah M. was just 18 years old when this disturbing case began to unfold. Barely an adult, yet already consumed by something so gruesome, so dark. She wasn't shy about it either. Her social media pages were, filled with tributes to serial killers. Their photos covered her bedroom walls like saints in a shrine. Like, she had posters of several serial killers, and she didn't just study them, she literally like worshipped these guys. And eventually she wanted to join the ranks, like she wanted to be written down in history as a killer, as one of them. She wanted to become the most prolific serial killer in history. She had the plan, the tools, the will, and her method was luring men through dating apps, isolating them, and striking when they least expected it. But before we get into the chilling details of the crime itself, let's rewind a little bit more. Let's look at her, let's look at the woman, and let's look at Sarah and her history. So Sarah was born in 2002. Her exact birth date and even her full name, because I said Sarah M, right? Like, it remains unknown to the public due to, like, in large part to Germany's strict privacy laws, which I kind of understand. But I don't understand, like at first, like I was kind of confused. I was just like, why don't you, since her pictures are online, her face is all over the place, why don't you just reveal her name? But on the other hand, I do appreciate that they don't reveal her full name, because it's just like, you don't want to give her even more publicity. You don't want to give her like, oh, you don't want to give away, you don't want to focus on her in this case. You want to focus on Zaid, right? But I think it's still important to talk about her background, like talk about what led her to commit something like that. So what we do know is that she was born in Switzerland, and she later moved with her family to the German state of Breisgau, I think. Breisgau. I'm sorry. I am so sorry, German people. I'm sorry. My German is horrible. But Polish is no better. Again, I can't even like speak about it. I can't even talk shit about it because let's face it, Polish is also like summoning demons. Danny says, girl, have you been diagnosed for mental health? Funny that you mentioned that. Funny that you mentioned. There will be a mental health aspect in this case, but it's not gonna be an excuse, you know? It won't be an excuse. And there's gonna be a reasonable, like, there's gonna be a reason why it's not really taken into consideration as much. Okay, so we do know that she moved to Germany. Her childhood, at least on paper, looked pretty normal. You know, supportive parents, she had good grades for a while, and a loving home. She even had a pet rabbit that she adored and she took pictures with. Rabbits. Nature's snakes. Not really, but you know what? I don't know where I was going with this. I thought of a joke, but then I lost point. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the case. Ignore my great sense of humor. As she entered her teenage years, the cracks began to show. Sarah turned from a bright social child. So at the beginning, she was fine, you know, like she was doing well at school. She was doing well with her parents, with her family, and everything seemed normal. But then she entered her teenage years and cracks began to show. Sarah turned from a bright social child into a rebellious teen. And you know what that's called? That is called puberty. But, you know, evil began to show, and that evil was called puberty. But also, I think in this case, it wasn't called puberty, you know? In this case, it was just like, it just went way past puberty, way beyond puberty. That's just not puberty, like just purely puberty. Purely puberty. That's a good word. Yeah, it wasn't just puberty. I think most of us go through puberty, and I would say most of us don't commit crimes. Like most of us don't turn into serial killers. But she did. Okay, so she started clashing with her parents. She started skipping school and started pushing everyone away. Friends turned into enemies. Her behavior became increasingly erratic and her cruelty more deliberate. She seemed to be enjoying herself. Like she seemed to enjoy being disliked. That's the only way I can describe it. Like she enjoyed being disliked, as if she fed off the conflict. And also Jose said, Sona, but aren't snakes nature snakes? How should I know? How does that make sense? How should I know? Penguins. But also rabbits, nature snakes. Okay, so yeah, so she fed off the conflict. At school, she was seen as arrogant, cold, and mean-spirited, but instead of being shaken by the bullying that followed, because she was being bullied, Sarah seemed to like lean into it. She wanted to be that like anti-hero or like villain or something. Like she wanted to be like, oh, you know, the tragic anime backstory. She played the villain proudly. She was provoking others. She was seeking out the hate. It wasn't about being misunderstood. It was about being feared. In the years that, like before May 2021, when the case unfolded, Sarah was admitted multiple times to adolescent psychiatric wards, most often against her will. The reason was repeated attempts to end her own life. Her mind was a complete mess. Her emotions were unpredictable and just out of control. And eventually doctors gave her a name for what she was experiencing: borderline personality disorder. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, BPD isn't just mood swings, it's emotional chaos. Many who suffer from it are at constant battle with their own thoughts. And unfortunately, self-harm is heartbreakingly common for people with BPD. And Sarah knew this battle all too well. And then she turned to YouTube at one point, recording raw, unfiltered monologues about her struggles. And in one of the videos, she actually admitted to self-harm. She compared it to an addiction, and she said this: "It helps me calm down. I don't recommend it, but I can't help myself." Now, okay, mental illness alone definitely doesn't explain what would come next, because, you know, let's look at it this way. Millions and millions of people are diagnosed with BPD. Millions of people live with BPD and other conditions, and they never cross the line into violence. You know, they never commit something like this. So, you know, that's what was the main, you know, the explanation for this. They were like, the law enforcement or the judge later said, like, millions of people live with BPD and they don't turn to crime this gruesome, this horrible. So what happened to you? Like, that can't be your excuse. That cannot be your defense line. And to be fair, like, Sarah did try to find coping mechanisms. You know, this was one of the coping mechanisms, but support was very scarce. And when she didn't seek it, no one really came running. At just 15, she turned to drugs. And in 2019, she tried ecstasy for the first time. Around that time, something else began to shift. She started drawing symbols on her hands. She started drawing pentagrams and like swastikas. Now, why is that so bad? In Germany, the swastika is more than just like, oh, offensive symbol. It's actually a criminal offense. Possessing or displaying one, like a swastika, can land you in prison for up to 3 years. So it's much more serious than, oh, outside of Germany, where, yeah, like swastikas are offensive, right? But it's just an offensive symbol. Like, you wouldn't, unless it follows like an action that is connected to the swastika symbol and what it symbolizes, like you're not gonna get it, you know, put in prison for owning something that has a swastika on it. But in Germany, you just might. Okay, so minor crimes started stacking up on her record. And there was a boyfriend in the picture. Very little is known about this guy. I think he was named Leon or something. The only thing that's known is that he had his own history with the law. The relationship was intense and at the same time short-lived. Like, he introduced her to drugs, and it was just kind of like, oh, it was that kind of relationship, you know, like intense but short-lived. But it's, you know, the breakup that would set off a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. Heartbroken and furious, like after the breakup, Sarah spiraled. She turned to something else for comfort. She turned to true crime. And hey, wait a minute. That's not really a red flag on its own, you know, because hi, hello, we're here. I mean, I'm here and I don't commit crimes. And many of us are fascinated by, let's face it, many of us are fascinated by serial killers, by psychology of killers. We're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and cold cases. But for Sarah, the interest didn't stop at curiosity. She literally, like, her idols, she idolized serial killers like Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez, especially Ramirez. Like, she was obsessed with Ramirez. And yeah, I'm not obsessed with serial killers, except for maybe the Axeman of New Orleans, but that's because I want to imagine that he had a sidekick and they traveled together and they had caped. I don't know, but, you know, not in a way that she was idolizing killers. Ignore what I just said. And in April 2021, Sarah made a decision. She wanted to become one. She wanted to become a killer. So Shai said, so that this ain't looking good. Well, listen, we are not, I mean, I would hope and I beseech you to not commit crimes. And if you're in my chat, if you're on my channel, you are automatically making a vow, making a promise not to commit crimes. That's it. That's what we're learning here. Do not commit crimes, and also don't go outside because it's dangerous outside. So why would you? I know that you can still commit crimes from your home because internet, but at the same time, don't go outside. It's scary, and just, you know, unlock a new fear every day. Yeah. What if I've committed crimes in the past? Okay, but you know, if it wasn't like super serious and you've repented and you're remorseful and you've corrected your behavior, then it's fine. You know, it's fine. I approve. Well, no, I mean, I don't approve committing crimes, but I accept your membership. You know, if you're not committing crimes now, that's it. That's it. Don't commit crimes. Just don't. Okay, I know we all have, you know, mistakes of the past, but at the same time, you know, like it really depends on the crime too, because, you know, crime can be very, very light. Like, I'm not talking about light crime. I'm talking about very serious crimes. I don't think jaywalking counts. Yeah, jaywalking doesn't count. I mean, yeah, it does. It kind of does because it's crime. It's a crime. It's a traffic violation. It's not even a crime. It's a traffic violation. But still, it's a traffic violation. Don't violate traffic. Traffic is there to protect you. Traffic rules are there to protect you. And they're there to, you know, keep you safe. So don't violate traffic rules. Don't jaywalk. You don't want to end up like little jaywalker. I can't promise that. The speed limits around here are a joke. I promise not to murder people though. Okay, drive safe. I know that speed limits can sometimes be infuriating because sometimes it seems like, oh my god, if I drove at a speed limit, I would never get anywhere. I understand, believe me. Like, yes, but at the same time, just be safe. Be safe and drive safe, and, you know, don't cross the speed limit if it seems like the road is super busy and you know, you might run some, you know what, like, just I know it's infuriating, but just be safe, drive safe, and just be smart about it. All right. Okay, so Sarah, in April 2021, Sarah decided to put her plans in motion, and she created profiles across dating apps, like different dating apps. There's like a profile on Plenty of Fish, there's like some app named Badoo, and Tinder. I thought it was just Tinder. Dude, I only know about Tinder and Bumble. Where are, I mean I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of dating apps that I have no idea about, and I didn't know they existed. But yeah, like there's an app called Plenty of Fish, there's an app called Badoo or something, or Beidou, I don't know how to pronounce it, and then there's Tinder and others. But Sarah wasn't searching for love. She was not even a rebound after her breakup. She was hunting, and her plan was very, very clear. The first man who showed serious interest, and he was serious about meeting up with her, would become her target. So she rebranded herself as Domina Cherry, a bisexual virgin with a taste for BDSM. Yes, take that in. This is a lot. This is a lot to take in. This is a lot to handle, you know, a bisexual virgin with a taste for BDSM. That was her profile description, essentially. So that's it. How do you know? Wait a minute. I'm so confused right now. Like, how do you wait? Also, because why did I do that too? Okay, this is what I was going to do. I had to move my screen a little bit, but my camera a little bit. But yeah, how does that work? A virgin. How do you know if you're? I guess like if you're a virgin, how do you know? Maybe I'm like super innocent. I'm just like too innocent for this. But man, I'm probably like too innocent for this. But like, how do you know if you're a virgin? Well, no, wait, hold up. That's not, how do you know if you're a virgin? That's the question. No. That is not what I meant. Okay, how do you know that you're like BDSM and this kind of stuff? If you're, I guess I'm just too innocent. If you're a virgin, I guess I'm just like, my mind is just too innocent. Do we know if we're at what? Wait, no, that's Sona brain working overtime. Listen, my brain is working. Yes, my brain is working overtime. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I meant like, oh, how do you know you're into like kinky stuff if you're a virgin and you've never actually tried any kinky stuff with someone? Unless I guess internet. I'm just being too innocent. I'm sorry. I'm just, yeah, like my innocent goes, you know, wide and beyond. And yeah, it's more curiosity thing at that stage. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. That makes sense. Like curiosity, and also it seems like I forgot about the existence of the internet and Cornhub. So yeah, that seems to me that I forgot about existence of the internet, and yeah. What is internet? That's a good question. I mean, pictures and video. That's true. This is just me being an innocent bean. So now, why are you in a soft room? What did you do? This is just for my own protection, for everyone's protection, and for my own protection from scary cases. Okay, so yes, she describes herself as a bisexual virgin with a taste for BDSM. The contrast was intentional, you know, like this was in her head. It was like, oh, I'm gonna put this in my description because it's seductive, it's like intriguing, and it's kind of like disarming, you know, that men would be like, oh, well, she's a virgin, so, you know, what can she, you know, she's not, doesn't seem, oh, very innocent, you know, like, oh, let's experience things together. So she posted those like alluring photos in lingerie and, you know, just sexy photos like this one, right? And within days she had over 240 matches on those apps. 3 men out of those like 240 matches, 3 men became her main focus with you know, flirting chats and even talks of meeting in person. Most of them had no idea what they were walking into. To them, it was, oh my god, and my nose just went, it just clogged. Now I sound super nasal. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, I have to sneeze. I really have to sneeze. And also I just have to blow my nose. I'm gonna mute for a moment. Okay, I was hoping. See, I had hope. I had hope this time. I had hope that my nose was clear. I could speak clearly. It's not gonna bother me the whole time throughout the case. And the nose just went, no. That's cute. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute that you think that. Yeah, so no. This is not how we work here. This is not what what's gonna happen. My nose is holding me hostage. What can I say? Bless. Thank you so much. Thank you for the blessings. Okay, so as I was saying, let's get back to the case. As I was saying, 3 men became, you know, her main focus because they were responding and they seemed to be serious about meeting up with her. And, you know, to them, like, they didn't know what they were walking into. To them, it was a fantasy, you know, a beautiful stranger with these like taboo tastes. But for Sarah, it was a plan. It was a build-up, a ritual. A few days before everything unfolded, you know, the thing with Zaid, the murder, she drove with a friend to a hardware store, and there she bought a 12-centimeter camping knife. I don't know what it is in inches, I'm sorry, but 12 centimeter, you guys can convert it. Her friend, completely unaware of Sarah's real intentions, she actually helped her complete the purchase when ID was required because Sarah didn't have an ID. Like, she just turned 18, but it doesn't seem like she had an ID with her. Like, technically in Germany, 18, I assume it's the same as in Poland. So, you know, when you turn 18, you're technically an adult and you get an ID, but, you know, it didn't seem like she had an ID on her. The knife was the final piece of the puzzle, you know, the trap was set. And all she needed now was someone to take the bait. And someone did. Zaid. And we know how that ended. So the paramedics worked frantically at the scene, you know, when Zaid was stabbed. Zaid's throat had been slashed very deep. Blood was just pouring out freely, his jugular likely severed. He was barely conscious when help arrived. The rescuers did everything they could to stabilize him, you know, the rescuers, the doctors, and once the ambulance pulled up, he was rushed to the nearest hospital with little time to spare. Doctors fought to keep Zaid alive as he slipped into a coma, but, you know, time was just not on their side. Meanwhile, the woman in question, right, like the suspect, was last seen, you know, that the woman that was last seen with him, so Sarah, had vanished into the night. But actually not for long, because roughly 30 minutes after the attack, reports started coming in from the central station. A young woman wandering barefoot, drenched in blood. Witnesses described her as moving like she wasn't even really there. You know, like something had hollowed her out from the inside, and she was just like walking as if she was hypnotized or in a trance. You know, and she was talking, and over again she was repeating this like one chilling phrase: "I am a killer." That's it. She just kept repeating it. "I am a killer. I am a killer." Yeah, she kind of, yeah, zombie, yeah, she kind of was walking like that, you know, like she was just walking and she was repeating this one phrase and just not reacting to any people around her. Authorities were alerted instantly. When officers arrived, they found her still pacing, barefoot, covered in blood, and seemingly just unbothered by the chaos that she had left behind, unbothered by people that were crowding around her, you know, like trying to stop her or talk to her. She didn't actually resist arrest. In fact, she didn't really say much at all at that point. And she was taken into custody, and due to her behavior, immediately transferred to a hospital for a psychological evaluation. That's when she woke up from the, you know, the state that she was in, and she finally started talking, and her words were like, I think a lot of people, like people in that room, probably wish that she did not wake up from that trance, you know, because the moment she started talking, it was just chilling. So she said this: "I tried to kill someone, you know. It would be such a waste if I went to jail only for attempted murder." Oh, wait, this is not. Oh, yeah. So that's it. Sorry. And then she said, "I had planned so much more." Take it as you will. Also, I thought I got the wrong slide, but I didn't. So yeah, she said, like, I had planned so much more. This was not over. Like, she wasn't planning to stop. Zaid wasn't gonna be like her only victim. Had she not been arrested, yeah, she had plans. She was like, I had plans for so much more. I would have continued. This was just the first step. And you know what? Like, when she said that, whoever was with her in that room, police officer, doctor, whoever was with her, they said that there was no panic in her voice. No remorse, no emotion, just like flat, emotionless delivery. As though she were talking about something mundane or someone else entirely. She wasn't talking about herself. She was just narrating a story, or like she was just narrating someone else, like, oh, just reporting on news, just very flat. And when investigators asked if it had been self-defense, you know, like they had to ask, right? They were assuming different scenarios. So they asked her, like, was this self-defense? You know, a young woman meeting with an older guy in a secluded area in a car, you know, like they pull over. They were just like, okay, well, is it possible? Like, was it what really happened? And they're like, where was this self-defense? And she just said, no. I wanted to slash his throat. I wanted to watch someone die. That's all she said. It's like, nope, that's not self-defense. It was very intentional. I planned it. I wanted to watch him die. Fair question. Yes, it is a fair question. You know, you want to explore, obviously, as an investigator, you want to explore every scenario, right? Like every possibility. You want to ask every question possible. And yeah, no, she was just like, nope, I wanted to slash someone's throat. I wanted to watch someone die. Okay, what the fuck, man? I know, right? Yes, she was, even though she was, you know, you might say, oh, she was the Lulu. She was not in her right mind. You might say that, but at the same time, she was. That's the thing, she was. It's just, this was her fantasy, this was her plan, and this was all premeditated. While she sat calmly under supervision, Zaid remained unconscious in a hospital bed. And then 19 days later, 19 days after the attack, his battle ended. Zaid died in the hospital, never waking up from his coma. His last conscious moments had been filled with fear, confusion, and pain. And despite all the efforts of first responders and trauma specialists, it just wasn't enough. He was gone. A man who had only wanted to meet someone for some good time, you know, whose only mistake was answering the wrong message on a dating app at the wrong time. He was gone. The charges against Sarah M. were swiftly upgraded. What started as an attempted murder case soon became something far more serious. It was first-degree murder, because now Zaid was dead. Also, Danny, Sona's right. This case is cray-cray. Oh, it's absolutely cray-cray. Also, thank you. So yeah, the case was quickly upgraded to first-degree murder. Given her increasingly erratic behavior, authorities held her in a psychiatric facility before transferring her to Bamberg, where her legal reckoning would begin, where her trial would take place. And her trial opened in May of 2022. This is her, like, arrested, well, in handcuffs, but I guess she, I don't know, yeah, like handcuffs. I don't know if that's is that a cigarette? What is that? But maybe not. Maybe that's just something else. Never mind. I just wanted to zoom in. I bet she was happy. Well, I mean, she definitely got some attention out of that. Okay, so it wasn't, you know, just Sarah's friends and family who showed up in that courtroom. Zaid's loved ones had traveled all the way from Iraq, because that's where he was originally from. He was actually only in Germany on a visa, like for a couple of years, because he was just working, kind of upgrading his career. And then he was going to go back to Iraq, like he was actually about to go back. But yeah, his life ended before he could go back to his family. So Zaid's family and loved ones had traveled all the way from Iraq to be there, to see the woman responsible for his death face justice. And my voice is a toaster. Jesus. Let me take a sip of water, because toaster. Yeah, because toaster voice, as always. As always when I'm streaming, as always when I'm talking about a case, it just has to go like eh. Anyway, sicky Sona, yeah, a little bit. Okay. So Zaid's family, like, they hoped that the sentence, you know, the proceedings and the sentence wouldn't be lenient for Sarah. And Sarah's defense team, like, leaned heavily on her age. Like, first line of defense was her age. She was 18 at the time of the killing, which is barely past the threshold of legal adulthood, but it is adulthood in Germany. And her lawyers, like, argued that she should be treated as a juvenile under German law, because, oh, you know, like, she barely turned 18, you know, like, oh, that was their defense. Like, she barely turned 18. She's not really an adult yet. Like, yeah, she just turned 18. It's not really adult yet. You know, she didn't even have her ID. So let's treat her as a juvenile. And their request was, they were requesting an 8-year sentence in a psychiatric prison, which is the maximum allowed for someone legally considered a youth. Right, that was their request. During the trial, disturbing details of her life were brought into the open. Relentless bullying at school, you know, drug use, and allegedly a sexual assault at the hands of her ex-boyfriend. though he adamantly denied those claims while under oath. Whether that part of her past was true or not, it didn't really erase what she had done. And her behavior since the crime, like, it didn't really point to trauma, you know, like, it pointed to calculation. Like, every step that she took, every single step in this case, like, it was very much calculated. So you couldn't, you know, the prosecutors did not see trauma. They were just like, she planned this all out, and it doesn't seem like she's remorseful. And her behavior in court also didn't really signal to any kind of remorse. Nah, marijuana don't make you do that type of crime. Yeah, like, she was not on marijuana. She was like, you know, as I said, like, she was trying ecstasy. I think with her ex-boyfriend, like, they were kind of, you know, dabbing in harder drugs or like more serious drugs than marijuana. And yeah, mental illness was also brought into the conversation. Sarah had previously been diagnosed with BPD, right? But as the judge rightly pointed out, and as I mentioned earlier, millions of people in this world, you know, on this planet, live with BPD and they never hurt anyone. So it is not an excuse for this case. It's not an excuse for premeditated murder, because in her case, it's just like, okay, well, had it been a crime of passion, had the case signaled, or like the circumstances signaled, that this was not pre-planned, this was not, you know, calculated, and like every step was planned. Had it been like, oh, you know, on a whim, you know, a murder on a whim, yeah, crime of passion, she was not planning it, oh, it was, you know, it just happened. Had it been like that, I think the judge would have considered BPD. I think everyone would have considered, like, okay, well, maybe she had an episode. Maybe there was like BPD just played a role into this. But no, this was just too planned. It was just calculated every step of the way. So the judge was just like, no. Like, that's not, you can't use that card. You cannot use your BPD diagnosis to get yourself a lighter sentence, which, by the way, in the end, she kind of did, but let me explain. Crime, a passion fruit. Yes, this is a passion fruit, not crime of passion. Smart, definitely smart judge, but like smart judge in this case, like in this, you know, this judgment, but everything else, this assessment, but then everything else is just like, I don't know if smart. Okay, so friends of Sarah took the stand to speak in her defense, and one of them said, I can't believe this. That's not the Sarah I knew. She was always the one who cared for everyone else. Was she? Well, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't strike me as, she doesn't strike me as the one who was just like caring for everyone else. Oh, she was kind and she was caring and she lit up the room. You know, whenever she walked into the room, it just lit up the whole room whenever she walked into it. I don't know how that saying goes, but yeah, she lit up the room. That's it. Yeah, like it just doesn't strike, it doesn't sound like the same person. Another friend admitted that Sarah was very much into true crime. She was posting photos, especially photos of Richard Ramirez, the so-called Night Stalker, on her Instagram stories, like so often, every day, but never thought twice about it. And she said she once told me she believed Jack the Ripper was actually a woman. I thought she was just into dark trivia like a lot of people are, which is a valid point, you know, which is a valid statement. Yeah, a lot of people are into dark stuff. I mean, hello, my channel is all about dark stuff and dark trivia and dark cases, but does that mean I'm gonna go and slash someone's throat? No, because that's illegal, and also because I'm not a killer. She lit up the room with her lighter. Yeah, I think the only way she could have lit up the room is through arson. Yeah, that's the only way that she would be lighting up the room. Okay, so none of the friends, none of the family members supposedly had seen this coming. I think they said like, oh, there were no signs. I'm like, were there no signs, really? At least none they recognize, because like how does someone hide that kind of darkness so well, supposedly according to them? But to me there were like signals. I don't know why. Like I know like a fascination with true crime, because someone might say like, hey, someone in my family might be like, I'm worried about you, Sona, because you know, are you gonna kill someone because you're into true crime and you're fascinated with these stories like that are pretty gruesome? And I'll be like, no, I'm not. No, not everyone who is into true crime is gonna go out there and stab someone and slash someone's throat. But what if it was legal, Sona? No! What? What if it was legal to murder someone? Are you kidding me? First of all, crazy. Why? No. Second of all, no. Even if it was legal, even if we were in the purge, probably not. Yeah, now I changed from no, absolutely not to probably not. Like the purge. In self-defense, yes. Okay, in self-defense, sure. If my life was threatened, I think everyone would. If your life was threatened, like, you know, you're about to die, someone's attacking you. Let's say it's the purge scenario and someone comes after you. Do you have the right to defend yourself? Absolutely. Defend yourself. And if someone dies as a result, you know, the attacker dies, well, you know, you defended yourself. But that's only, you know, it's only if someone is really coming at me with the intention of killing me. Not like, oh, I get into a fist fight. You know, that's not exactly like, yeah, you know, like yeah, I can defend myself as in like, oh, I can punch them back, but does that mean I have to, like, I don't know, like kill them because they punched me? No. Like, yeah, I can punch them back. There's different levels of self-defense, you know. There are levels of self-defense where, yeah, like it's absolutely, you know, it's unavoidable to harm someone seriously. Or, yeah, like kill someone. There's that level, but there's also a level where, like, yeah, you just punch back. That's that. That's my stance on this. I would hide in a panic room for the night. Yeah, probably. Like, I think that would be my first, you know, there would be certain steps. There would definitely be a lot of steps before I would decide to, okay, well, now I have to kill someone because they're coming after me and they're gonna kill me. So I have to respond. But I would take precautions for sure. Okay, so in the end, the court handed down its decision and they ruled 12 years in a psychiatric prison with a condition. That's only on the condition, like she's gonna spend 12 years in prison on the condition that she complies with mandatory therapy, right? That's the condition. You attend therapy, you can come out, like, oh, if the doctors also determine that you're okay, you can come out after 12 years. If you don't attend therapy, you're gonna stay there longer, as long as it takes. If she refused, she would face, yeah, additional time, additional, you know, punishment. She had nothing to say at sentencing. No statement, no apology, no hint of any guilt. But here's the thing. As guards led her away, she raised her palm, revealing a pentagram symbol just scribbled across her skin in ink. And this was a chilling nod to her very idol, Richard Ramirez, because he did the exact same thing at his trial. So she did the exact same thing. As she was walking away, she just raises her palm and there's a pentagram. Things are absolutely getting worse. Oh boy. 12 for murder? And I really thought the US justice system was a fucking joke. Okay, so it's a conditional 12, right? Like 12 is on the condition that she is attending therapy and, you know, and obviously after the 12-year sentence, doctors determine like, okay, well, she's not a danger to society anymore. But if she does not attend therapy, then obviously, like, you know, it extends. If she does not attend therapy at all throughout those 12 years, then she doesn't come out. And the sentence continues, and the judge probably rules another like period, right? Like another couple of years in prison to reevaluate and be like, okay, well, you have to attend therapy. But that's, yeah, that's the gist of it. Since that day, you would think that, okay, well, she got a 12-year sentence. Now she's gonna, she's in prison. She's gonna attend that therapy. No, she didn't. She does not. She refused to attend a single therapy session from her sentencing in 2022, which means she's already on track to serve more than the original 12 years. Not only that, in prison, Sarah kept up a disturbing fixation with infamous serial killers. In letters to her mother, she made specific requests that she wanted posters of Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez to hang on the walls of her cell, and obviously these requests were denied. Both her mother and the prison authorities refused. They denied. They were just like, absolutely not. Like, what? You were gonna play into your insanity even more? On the other side of this tragedy is Zaid. And this is, okay, listen, this is the part where it's like, it's a little icky. I know that she was 18 and she was technically an adult. I have no information if Sarah actually shared her actual age on these dating apps. Because maybe she portrayed herself as older. So Zaid was actually 39. So, 39 and going after an 18-year-old, that's, it just kind of feels icky. It just kind of feels not great. It just makes me cringe a little bit. He was 39, she was 18. It makes me cringe. But to be fair, I do not have information about whether or not she posted her actual age on those dating apps, or if she maybe pretended to be older. That I don't know. So yes, Zaid was 39 and his life was, it still doesn't, okay, just because he was 39 and 18, does that mean that she had the right to take his life? No. His life ended. His life was stolen in May of 2021. And not much is publicly known about him, but what we do know paints the picture of a man who just wanted to, continue living his life, and he had plans for going back to his country. He had just 4 months left on his visa and was planning to return home to Iraq. He was actually talking in his messages to his family, and according to his family, he was planning to settle down. He wanted to find love, start a family. He'd been away from his homeland for 7 years, and his loved ones, he was working, he was sending money to his family, and his loved ones were eager to, hear his stories and welcome him home and witness the next chapter of his life. Unfortunately, that is not what happened. His final days weren't spent surrounded by family or in peace. They were spent in a hospital bed, in a coma, in pain, hooked up to machines, fighting for his life until there was nothing left to fight for, and he lost that fight. So yeah, you can question his age and her age, the age difference. Is it a little bit cringy? It is a little bit cringy, but I'm just gonna emphasize, I do not know if she actually shared her real age online, or if she posed as 20-something-year-old. That would be that's a legal adult. 20-something versus 39. Is it a big age difference? Sure. But is it illegal? No, it's not. But yeah, that is what it was, and it doesn't change the fact that he did not deserve to die. That does not change. He did not deserve to be killed in that way, or in any way. He didn't commit any crime, and he was just a guy, and he was just meeting a girl on a date. And did he deserve to be stabbed? No. This case is just, my goodness, this case is just crazy. The case of this girl, Sarah, a young woman who once shared just true crime memes and idolized serial killers online, which is disturbing on its own, but at the same time, idolize. It's not sharing the true crime memes. That's fine, but it's the part where she idolizes serial killers openly. That one was kind of, a little bit of a red flag. And it ended with a cold, calculated act of, you know, real violence. Her obsession with infamy and brutality wasn't just online. It wasn't just aesthetic. It was deadly. It was real. Despite her disturbing behavior, her trial, her sentencing, the biggest questions remain unanswered. Like, what truly drove her to kill? And could anyone have seen it coming, honestly? Could anyone have seen this? Because, yeah, as her friends said, as her family said, they were blindsided, you know, like, yes, she was kind of edgy and she was kind of fascinated with this world of true crime, but none of them treated this seriously. None of them could have predicted that, hey, she would actually go on to kill someone. Because again, millions of people out there are interested in true crime, myself included, and I would say 99% of those people, 99% of us true crime junkies are not planning to murder someone. Damn, she was cold. She was cold. And as for the victim, as for Zaid, his name may not be, you know, there might not be as much information about him. His name might not trend the same way that Domina Cherry is, and his face may not go viral, but he was a person. You know, he was a son, he was a friend, and a man with a life ahead of him, and he didn't get a chance to live that life because of this girl. So that is it. That is the end. Yeah. This case, you guys, honestly, that's one of those cases where it's just like, what the fuck? A little bit of a red flag. Looks at Sona. Just, you know, just a little bit of a red flag. Just a small red flag. Her idolizing serial killers. Like, I would probably stay away. I'm gonna be honest. I would probably stay away. Like, from someone who idolizes serial killers. Not, you know, obviously not someone who just simply likes true crime. Like, I share a lot of true crime stuff. I cover a lot of true crime, but I do not for a moment idolize serial killers. Like, god damn it, no. I even, like, it icks me when they get, you know, they get the nicknames, especially if they are cool nicknames. Like, I don't know, when the Wednesday Strangler, the Night Stalker, you know, I don't like that. I don't necessarily like that. Sona doesn't idolize murderers. She studies them and tells us about it. Yeah, exactly. And that's why she's awesome. And also, I tell you about what to fear. What to fear. Yeah. New fear unlocked every single day, every single week with this channel and with me. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome, you guys. But thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening to the case. I hope you guys, you know, enjoyed listening. It's a weird way to end it, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the case. I do have that collab tomorrow, so tomorrow the collab is gonna start at the same time, so 8 a.m. Pacific time, I believe. Yeah. But no, wait, 8 a.m. my time. What am I talking about? God damn. Yes, 8 a.m. Well, 8 a.m. my time. It's gonna be 5 p.m. Pacific time. Time zones be difficult. Time zones be hard to, to figure out. Especially if you're, like, on the other side of the world, because, yeah, I'm in Asia, so it's just, I really have to do some mental gymnastics before, you know, like, whenever I schedule a collab with someone, it's usually, like, huge mental gymnastics to figure out you know, which time, what time. Are you streaming your POV? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow. Yeah, I'll schedule the stream later today, but yes, I'm gonna be streaming my POV, and it will be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, because the collab overall is longer. I think Trico is streaming from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, but then I'm gonna join from 5 p.m. to around, like, 7 p.m. ish. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get motion sick. I might actually get motion sick tomorrow, like, if, you know, like, when I'm playing the game. So if I get motion sick, it might be a little bit shorter. Totally looking forward to it. Hey. Repo, just look forward to me dying again, and hopefully that's not gonna affect our team's performance. Anyway, thank you so much for today, you guys. Thank you so much for all the super chats. And I would like to obviously send special thanks to my moderators today for working so hard in the chat. Thank you so much, you guys. Every single time I stream, you guys are doing an amazing job. And Joshua, what was the game against on a Repo? Repo, yeah, that's the game. And also Joshua, thank you. And yeah, special thanks to my Patreon members. You guys sat through a pretty bad case yesterday with me. It was the case of the Wednesday Strangler. That's an unsolved case from Japan. And you guys, it was... Man, I think I cried a little bit. Yeah, I did. Because, yeah, there was a moment when I cried during the stream because it just got heavy. It just got so heavy. There was this little girl that was murdered, and just the circumstances in which they found her were heartbreaking for her family. But yeah, that was a heavy case, and the fact that it's unsolved to this day, I'm gonna spoil it for you. Yes, it's unsolved. And the fact that the guy, well, the person, whoever murdered those people, those women, because there's 7 women involved, 7 victims. And yeah, like the guy just got away with it. You know, the killer got away with it, and essentially the case is done because statute of limitations is expired. So yeah, you know, you guys can go to Patreon, listen to it. It's the latest stream. God, that sounds so sad and horrible. It was horrible. It was honestly horrible. Just the whole case, each one, and was just, it's not even the murders itself, like themselves, you know. It was what happened after the murders. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but there was like some taunting. There was some like weird phone calls, weird messages. Not gonna like spoil too much, like what the messages said or like how it happened. So you guys can find out on your own. But yeah, it was pretty bad. What else? Oh yeah, I'm working on fixing the community server, the Project Zomboid community server. So I'm so sorry that it's getting delayed. I'm so sorry that it's taking a while. Like the hosting service is just not working with me, but I'm gonna try my best to fix it, and I will let you guys know when it's fixed and when it's back online. Damn it, another crash. Yeah, and I can't do anything about it. Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that I stream pretty, you know, early. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for today. Thank you for sitting through the case with me, and stay safe out there. Always lock your doors and windows. Bear your haxes. Until the next time. Until tomorrow. Bye.